Welcome back, boxing fans, to another great show with Sean on boxing. So, obviously, we had some big matches this weekend. We're going to talk about that and more after these quick announcements. So, stay tuned. Welcome back. So, let's jump into it and talk about what happened this weekend and how it unfolded. So, obviously, one of the bigger fights this weekend was Top Rank's card with Brian Norman Jr. defending his WBO welterweight world title versus Derek Cuevas. Cuevas obviously had been inactive for an extended period of time. This was a fight that has been delayed and was going to be Norman's first title defense. And the irony with this is a lot of people were critical of Norman moving in this direction for obvious reasons, because he was offered a fight for unification with Boots Ennis, with I think a proposed $1.7 million payday. But he decided against that, feeling that it was too little money, and chose to delay his career a little bit and then fight a guy like Derek Cuevas to defend his title, a guy who in the welterweight division is not a highly ranked or highly respected opponent. So people are wondering, how much money could you possibly get to fight a guy like this? Obviously, you gave up a big payday against one of the best fighters in boxing to take on a little known Puerto Rican kid for obviously marginal money. But we will see how this impacts Norman moving forward. There was speculation about him potentially facing Teofimo Lopez, which obviously would have been a much bigger fight. Now that he made his first title defense, we know that Boots Ennis is going to be fighting Stanionis coming up soon. So maybe the possibility of fighting the winner of that for three-belt unification will be that much more exciting and enticing for the young man. He also ended up having hand surgery during this period of time off, which he says makes him a better, harder, and more of a two-handed puncher, which we didn't have much of an opportunity to see that today because the fight did only go 3 rounds. But it'll be interesting to see what Norman looks like moving forward, because obviously he's still a very young fighter, and we could potentially look for him to continue to grow and improve as we move forward in the sport of boxing. But let me know in the comment section below, what did you think about Brian Norman Jr.'s first title defense? And we will talk about that and obviously other things on the card as well. So let's check out the card overall. Top Rank, one of the best promoters out there, consistently putting out solid cards. Not elite pay-per-view type of cards, but cards that obviously can be showcased on Top Rank, ESPN. And this was just another one, a good card with a few good up-and-coming young fighters. And then, of course, a very respected female fighter in a revenge match. And then, of course, Brian Norman Jr., the WBO champion. Overall, it was a solid card. And if you're a hardcore boxing fan, these are the kind of cards you're intrigued by, because it's always nice and interesting to see guys like Emiliano Vargas, Delonte Johnson, and Bruce Carrington sort of continue to move forward in their careers, to see exactly how good they really are and potentially where we might see them move in their careers. Obviously, Bruce Carrington, out of all of them, is the more respected. 27 years of age. Obviously, he's further along in his career. And today he looked very good, beating Enrique Vivas, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, puts him in position for a world title fight now. I'm not sure which one, if it's the WBO or one of the other sanctioning bodies. If you know, leave in the comment section below. But, he's obviously a fighter that's getting a lot of attention, very skilled fighter, very well-spoken, able to box and move, but also has been showing some good power as well. Drunk Irishman's in the house. Jay Will, what's up? I hope Norman can get the winner of Boots Stanionis. That would be the perfect scenario, right? Like, obviously, Stanionis Boots is a great fight. Unification, obviously, for Boots. people are hoping to see him step up his level so we can see truly how good he is. Stanionis is obviously a very solid fighter, but, not the most, I'm not going to say he's one dimensional, but he's obviously not the most versatile kind of fighter. He has his style, he's very set in it, so you don't know how much adjustments and changes potentially he can make. Whereas the whole thing about Boots is Boots looks like he's the type of fighter who can make tons of adjustments in the ring, change and fight many different styles. And because of his length, his power, his pedigree, his technique, um, could obviously beat everyone, regardless of their style. For Brian Norman, he's a up and coming young fighter in a division that looked dead, but obviously now it's kind of getting its legs under it once again. Obviously, Norman finally making the defense. Obviously, Boots Ennis versus Stanionis, which is the biggest fight of 147 pounds this year. The move potentially of Teofimo Lopez moving to the division, as well as Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. So you get a few name fighters moving in to sort of offset the fact that obviously Spence and Bud Crawford have moved on in their careers, and guys like Garcia, Danny Garcia, and Sean Porter and Keith Thurman have kind of aged out or retired, and now you end up getting new blood, which is good. It's exciting, right? We'll see what happens with all three of them on the big card coming up sometime soon in New York City. But, I think it's a great addition to add those guys to the card. I'd like to see, what's his face from Scotland? I can't remember his name. Ex-undisputed champion. But I'd like to see him also move to the division. The more the merrier, name recognition. It's obviously great to have a deeper pool of potential fighters. JA, what's up? Salute. Hopefully Zepeda conveniently doesn't have another baby when it comes time to fight Shakur. Yes, Jay. Josh Taylor. Thank you very much. Well, in truth, I mean, I don't really care if he fights Shakur as long as who he fights next is somebody legitimate, right? And for Shakur, the same. I mean, he doesn't need to fight Tank Davis next for me to be excited. He could fight a multitude of fighters at 147 pounds that are quality fighters, and I'd be happy with that. The same for Tank Davis. The only difference with Tank Davis and Zepeda and these other fighters, obviously, he's the face of boxing. So expectations for him are a little more so than a contender like Zepeda, or obviously Shakur, who's only been in the division for a short time. He's number one in all sanctioning bodies. Is he? He was, but I don't know if he still is. I'm pretty sure now he isn't, to be factual. The IBF, where he was once Lomachenko's mandatory, somehow now I think the two guys in that division are Abdurev and Muratalla, who are going to be fighting to potentially become Lomachenko's mandatory opponent or potentially be elevated if Lomachenko retires. You better not duck me, son. What's up, Andre? Long time no see, my brethren. Still 3 feet of snow in fucking Quebec? 70-30 split for me. Man, you live in Canada, so fucking the taxes, you need it. It's funny, right? Andre can relate because he lives in Canada. When Canadians are so fucking emotionally fucking under Donald Trump derangement syndrome as Canadians, it makes me fucking really scratch my head and think, don't Canadians have more issues than worrying about fucking Trump? I left the salute from the black woman who's talking all over the Democrat, and all fucking the Canadian family and friends are all over my fucking feed in their emotions. I had one guy basically going on, a guy I knew obviously in elementary school and whatnot, and he works with kids. He's a fucking basketball coach. So you would think a person would be a little more neutral, a little less emotional, but fucking derangement syndrome, man. Like, I love Canada, but Canada has some serious fucking issues. Taxes, the way how expensive it is to live there. It's fucking ridiculous. I'm sure Andre gets it, but just makes me scratch my head. Canadians more fucking angry about Trump than Americans are. No more snow here, bro. I'd be worried about Loma in a fight with Zepeda. Too small and too old at this point. Zepeda is relentless. I think Lomachenko tears fucking Zepeda apart. If Tevin Farmer could have so much success with him, Lomachenko's going to fucking stop him, in my opinion. Right? I think Lomachenko would have more problems with Muratalla because he's longer and a little more rangy. Zepeda is not that much bigger than Lomachenko. He obviously is not that hard of a puncher. His biggest benefit is volume, but we'll get to him in a minute. Let's move through. So did you guys watch Brian Norman's first title defense against Derek Cuevas? And what did you think? I thought it was a good performance. I was surprised pleasantly that he got him out so quick in 3 rounds. But then Cuevas also looked like he took the easy way out. He did not look like he wanted to fucking really gut it out. So, a little disappointed with his performance. I would have liked to see him show a little more heart and push Brian Norman a little bit more. Obviously, for Norman, we know he's got tons of heart. We noticed that when he won the world title. But Cuevas, you know why he's just a mediocre contender. The guy was willing to quit the first time things got rough. Then, of course, we had the card on DAZN, Chicano U-turn. What's up, my man? Speaking of William Zepeda in his rematch with Tevin Farmer. You guys tell me what you thought the scorecard to that fight was. I'll let you tell me first. How many rounds apiece did you have these two guys winning, Farmer and Zepeda? I just want to see if people saw the fight more like me or more like DAZN's crew and the judges. So leave your comments or your scores in the comment section, just so I can peruse other people's opinions. I'll give you a minute. Get typing. Zepeda 8-4 or 9-3 from JA. What about Andre? I missed 3 rounds. I have to rewatch. Okay. Drunk Irishman. Andre. Zepeda wastes so much punches, and his punches are too soft. Loma would knock him out. Knock the fuck out. Zepeda 8-4, stringer from above. More? Come on, guys. Let's just get a consensus. I'm just curious about, just the way networks and the teams that work for them sort of break down fights. Because obviously when I go live, I don't listen to them live. But like today, I didn't go live. I just sort of watched the boxing. And it makes me scratch my head, especially when you're listening to the team for DAZN. I know a lot of people have been critical of them, but those people are mostly critical because of the whole racial fucking agenda they love to push. They love the PBC, but then they're fucking critical of everybody else. I couldn't find more than 3 rounds for Farmer. I enjoyed watching Zepeda fight, but this is his ceiling. Didn't watch the fight, just saw the highlights. Okay. Yeah, because the way they were talking, as if the fight was super competitive, and potentially Farmer could have won the fight. And when I saw the scorecards, which were very close, and obviously one had it a draw, I just had to scratch my head and think, what the fuck, man? Like, what are you watching? A fighter can have success, right? A fighter can do a lot of good work, land a lot of good shots, show that he is a good fighter. But it doesn't mean he's fucking winning rounds. You don't win rounds just because you're competitive and because you're landing some clean shots. You win rounds by fucking winning rounds. And the guy that wins the most rounds wins the fucking fight. I don't know how you could watch that fight when Zepeda landed probably over 120 punches more than Tevin Farmer. But you're going to come here and act as if somehow, it was a close fight that easily could have been a draw or could have went Tevin Farmer's way. And some guys are going to say it's a robbery. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Give me a break. There's no robbery. Zepeda easily won that fight. I had it 8-4, right? And I was looking for rounds to give Farmer. I wasn't trying to look for rounds to give Zepeda. I mean, and okay, Farmer was injured, but that's fucking irrelevant. It has nothing to do with scorecards. It just means, oh, too bad he was injured. Maybe he could have been more effective, but he was fucking injured. So you can't give him rounds because of an injury and because he showed toughness and was able to still be competitive even though he was injured. He fucking lost. Clearly. But when you listen to the DAZN team and then you look at the scorecards, it just makes you think, what the fuck, man, is wrong with people? Like, really? And I'm not hating on Farmer because in truth, I don't care who won the fight. It doesn't matter to me if it was Farmer or Zepeda because I know, regardless of who won, these guys are not going to beat Keyshawn, Lomachenko, Shakur, or fucking Tank Davis. They're a fucking level below those guys, regardless of who they fought. Come on, weirdos. 10 people watching, 2 likes. Come on, people. Hit the like button. It's the least you can do. True School blocked me today for telling him to stop hating on Zepeda. True School is becoming very similar to a lot of these other channels. Too arrogant and too fucking much revolving around thinking what he says is obviously always true and factual. But his strong fucking opinions are going to divide, people's opinion because it's not like he's being rational. He's being really fucking negative towards Sirki Al-Sheikh, fucking crazily so, right? And a lot of his other opinions are the same. This was a guy who fucking hated on Canelo Alvarez like fucking crazy. Now he's coming around a bit, but then he's now hating on Inui more. I mean, I just don't understand the hate. You can love fucking Angelo Leo. That's fine. But when you start talking negatively about people's maneuvers and who they could fight and this and that, when we all know the reason you're saying this is because you're fucking in bed with Angelo Leo. So of course you're fucking biased. We know you're biased. You should know you're fucking biased too. And keep that in mind when you're fucking breaking shit down, specifically in that weight division and around that weight division. Yeah, Zepeda loses to all the champions. He'll give them all good fights, though. Yeah, well, that's what he is, right? An aggressive, come forward Mexican fighter who's going to make for some good fights. One judge had it a draw. It's pathetic. I think Farmer didn't win more than 3 rounds. Yeah, me giving him 4 rounds is me looking to try to give him rounds. Dude has turned into a complete diva. That's true. Competitive fights don't mean it's a close fight. Look at Chocolatito Estrada 2. Competitive fight. But Chocolatito was clearly winning more rounds. Too bad he got screwed over. Exactly. Just like in the 3rd fight, Estrada clearly won the fucking 3rd fight. I mean, people, they make fucking boxing more complicated than it fucking needs to be. And most of them, because they're being fanboys and they're biased as fuck. Literally, I'm not being biased when I judge. I try to be the opposite, right? The opposite of that. Judges and refs should be punished for bad decisions, or anyone can be a judge. Eddie Hearn said he's pushing for Shakur Zepeda fight. If he doesn't take the fight, this would be one of the first times I've seen a number 1 contender actively avoid a shot at a title. Well, if I can remember, I think there's been several occasions where number 1 contenders avoided title fights. A lot. And I think way more than the fingers I have on my fingers. I think about PBC fighters, and that's pretty normal. You think about Beterbiev. When Beterbiev was with the PBC, he had a mandatory shot against Kovalev. They turned that down. You had Virgil Ortiz, Ugis, Danny Garcia, Boots Ennis, who were all WBO mandatories for Bud Crawford. They all fucking turned it down and all went in different directions. So, that shit happens. Zepeda isn't scared. It's De La Hoya who's protecting him. I think that's totally true. It's hilarious how people say Loma clearly lost to Haney. Who fucking said he clearly lost? Like, what fight are you watching where you think Haney clearly fucking won? And tell me which rounds he clearly fucking won. Usually they're too young to avoid title shots. Zepeda has been a pro for over 10 years. Yeah, but obviously he wasn't a contender for a world title fight during that period of time, right? And Beterbiev wasn't too young, and lots of other guys weren't. BFTB says Haney washed Loma 10-2. Of course he's going to say that. See, that's again. See, when channels like True School, Knockout Boxing, Fannin, the whole LDBC say those kind of fucking remarks, we know they're fucking biased. The LDBC got fucking Devin Haney's dick in their ass. Knockout Boxing got Tank Davis fucking balls in his mouth. And True School Sports, True Schools is like fucking jacuzzing with fucking Angela Leal. So these dudes are hugely biased when it comes to these fighters. They can't see fucking clearly. All they can see is biasly. For me, I don't have any personal relationship with any fucking fighters. So at the end of the day, it don't fucking matter, right? I'm not gonna be biased towards somebody because I don't know them. I'm not trying to offend them. I'm not trying to get fucking interviews with them. I'm not trying to collect money off of them so I can fucking kiss their ass on YouTube, right? But unfortunately, most of these channels do that. I mean, Boxing Constipation exposed that shit years ago. But overall, this card was pretty good. Collazo. I watched the Japanese fight today. That was also the baby belt for the smallest division, strawweight, and he got beat in the rematch, right? Not getting a chance to re-win his world title, losing to the guy that beat him. And I look at those two guys, and then I look at Collazo. Collazo's on a whole fucking different level than anybody at that division. I'd love to see him move up. Too bad, obviously, Ken Shiro's already moved out of that weight class, because I would have loved to see him move up and challenge Ken Shiro. That would have been real legitimate. But as far as he's concerned, there's no competition. How weird was it that Wilder was so accessible that the LDBC attended his training camp? Well, and he attended their fucking, butt buddy fucking barbecue. Collazo on his way to becoming pound for pound fighter. Don't say that, drunk Irishman. He's not American. And he's one of those fucking booger weights. So obviously he's not fighting anyone America knows. He's not fighting any legitimate opponents. He's fucking too small. He's not American. He doesn't fight in America. KO86 is cool, but the tank glazing is becoming too much for me. It's obvious he has an agenda. Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, he's always been a PBC fucking fanboy from day one, right? Consistently. And I pointed it out tons of times early on when he actually was talking about boxing. Now he's just fucking the exact same thing fucking all those other fucking guys are, right? And we know why. He's been tempted by fucking money. I talked about Collazo and minimum weight, and people at other channels got mad at me and rolled their eyes at me, and now they know about him. They rolled their eyes at you because they're stupid and fucking ignorant. Collazo is easily the best Puerto Rican fighter in boxing today. And if you don't respect him, go watch his performance today. He looked fucking great. He did everything he wanted. He controlled everything, even inside range with the Mexican opponent, right? He was able to shoulder roll and fucking not get hit too cleanly with anything. Uses both his hands, was very effective, and ended up getting a fucking spectacular stoppage. What else do you want the fucking guy to do? And this was a guy who said he'd be keen to break Oscar De La Hoya's 5 fights in 1 year type of deal. But the problem is, obviously, Oscar De La Hoya is his promoter. So he might not be so keen to give Collazo that many fights. We will see. But overall, you also have the Yocasta Vale card and the Esperanza. I was glad that the sexier OnlyFans girl won. What weight is he? He's the small weight division, minimum weight or straw weight, whatever they call it now. He's a midget. What's that, 105 pounds? Something like that. Yeah, the two women fight cards. I'm not a big supporter of women's boxing, but I have to give it to Mikael Mayer. She's looking better, right? Before I thought she was kind of boring. She liked to stay on the outside, use her jab, and try to be super slick. But now she's sort of adapting her style. She's becoming a little more flat-footed, throwing some bigger shots, and looked good. Had a very good rematch today, beating that girl convincingly, Sandy Ryan. And I like Sandy Ryan. I thought Sandy Ryan won the first fight, but this one, it was clearly Mikael Mayer. Good performance from her. That's a dig at me. What's a dig at you? I was 105 when I was 9 years old. I can't remember how fucking old I was when I was 105 pounds. No idea. Aha. So the man on the mission, Yabuki. Yabuki moved up to his second weight division and beat undefeated fighter Angel Ayala. And True School Sports was picking Ayala to win that fight, even though he is the American channel for Japanese boxing. But I did predict that Yabuki would win in my prediction league. So I guess I know more about Japanese boxing, even though I'm just joking. Opinions are opinions. But yeah, I had Yabuki winning by 6th round TKO. Obviously, it did not go that way. He ended up stopping him in the 11th or 12th round. If you didn't see this fight, it's on YouTube. You should definitely check it out. It's a fucking bloodbath. A bloodbath. Really entertaining fight. You could tell that their face is right here. Look at the cut under Yabuki's fucking eye. That thing is brutal. Brutal. But obviously, this is a guy that gave Kenshiro his first loss, stopping Kenshiro, ended up losing in the rematch. Since then, has re-won the 108-pound title, and now obviously has moved up to 112 pounds to beat Ayala to become a 2-weight world champion. So, quality fighter, quality fight. Alonzo's comment. Oh, where is it? Did you roll your eyes at him? How does he know that you rolled your eyes on YouTube? Thailand never gets recognition in the sport of boxing on YouTube either. Thailand. Well, the problem with Thailand is they have so many fucking overrated fighters that have blown records with real shitty opponents. So I'm like 55-0, but when you look at my fucking resume, I'm fighting guys that made their debut in my 48th fight. Right? That's the problem with Thailand. Japan, not so much. Japan fighters, they fucking come through the way boxers do. They have quality opponents, good records, in there with other good opponents, right? It's far different when you talk about Japan compared to Thailand. Looking forward to Joyce versus Hrgovic for sure. That'll be a great fight. And what's going on with Daniel Dubois? He's going to now fight Chisora. Excuse me. I think he should have just remade the fucking Parker fight, but oh well. No one is addressing you, Irishman. I talk to a lot of people about Clazo, and I can't express what I really know about boxing. Chisora should retire. I agree. I respect the guy, and I think this is definitely a time for him to hang him up. You don't want to fucking stay busy for too long. Here's the man. Look at his resume. This is how many fights he's had. 12-0, 9 KOs. At 105 pounds, 9 KOs is super impressive. And when you look at his career, his first 3 fights, okay, throwaway fights like anyone after that, 13-1, 21-5, 15-1, 20-2, Melvin Jerusalem, the guy that just beat you die for the second time. So that early, he ended up beating a guy who currently is a champion again. 10-3, 10-1, 14-1-1, 25-0. Obviously, that's Nim Trong, fucking, the long reigning Thai champion. And then obviously just today, Edwin Cano, 13-2-1, but fought him in Mexico, right? And destroyed him. Now it's Dubois versus Usyk next. But I thought Usyk was going to fight Parker because Parker was his WBO mandatory. And now Saudi Arabia is not happy with Dubois. So I think they will be happy to make Parker Usyk for WBO. And they said they don't want to necessarily work with Dubois because obviously he made them look bad pulling out of the fight. They're not going to make the fight next. Chisora is probably going to fight Dillian White first, his retirement fight. Oh, why fight Dillian White? Nah, Alonzo, that was a clear dig at me. Not my fault, Zerdo, and Billum Smith was a more better fight that night. Well, it's a better fight because obviously neither of those guys are the same level as Collazo. So it was a much more competitive fight. Collazo is just too good for his opposition. Unifications trump mandatories. This is true. So where's the unification? What are we talking about? You mean, well, it trumps it unless actually the fight's been called, right? You got to make sure you get the paperwork in before the sanctioning body mandates the fight. You can't come out afterwards and override a mandatory if you've been fucking around and didn't do it early enough. Got to get the paperwork in. Salute, Sean Don. What's up, Legacy? Welcome. Dubois needs to fight Parker before Usyk, in my opinion. I think that would be a great fight. It's a shame the fight didn't happen because we were praising fucking Daniel Dubois for taking on an opponent like that, saying, fuck, man, that's what you like. This dude's coming off of great performances, and now he's jumping in with a hot fighter like Parker. It shows a lot of balls, a lot of respect. Then he pulled out, and we thought, come on, we know why you pulled out. He pulled out because he knew it was a tough fight, and he'd rather have just went directly in to the unification fight with Usyk. And that's what he wanted to do. So then it just adds more fuel to the fire. If Usyk beats Dubois, that would be legendary. Salute. Are you the boxing scientist? Well, for Usyk, right? Whether he beats Parker, whether he beats Dubois, those are solid wins on his resume. And at this point, he's got one or two more solid fights left in him. 30-year-old fighting a prime bull coming off of wins over AJ and Hrgovic. Yeah. Even though he beat them before those guys as well. But Collazo, we need to give Collazo more respect. Like, this guy is a world champion with a built-in fan base in Puerto Rico, yet he had to go fight in Mexico to defend his title. He should be working with MVP. Fucking MVP would be keeping his ass in Puerto Rico or New York. So here's some prospects that fought this weekend. What do you guys think? Obviously, Bruce Carrington, we know, is a little more than a prospect. He's kind of a contender right now. And I like Carrington. Think about this. Apparently, Stephen Fulton is going to be moving up to 130 after becoming a two-way world champion. Now trying to move up to fight O'Shaquie Foster, from what I hear, to try to become a three-weight world champion. Hats off to Fulton, because if he beats O'Shaquie Foster to become a three-weight world champion, that's going to fucking make Inoue look fantastic. So I'm all for it. But it's ironic because Bruce Carrington has called out Stephen Fulton. And I think he's pretty highly rated in that sanctioning body. I think it's the WBA. And I would love to see Carrington versus Stephen Fulton. It's like, the old and the new, similar styles in some ways. It would be a good fight. It'd be a great coming out fight for Carrington if he could beat Fulton. And then with the potential fight with him and Inui, now they have a common opponent. People can start comparing Carrington's win compared to Inui's win over Fulton. But it seems kind of funny that Fulton is like running to 130 pounds and doesn't want to defend his title at 126 pounds. But let me know what you guys think. Also on that Yabuki undercard, you have great up-and-coming Japanese fighter Aoi Yokoyama, who had a big win against Filipino fighter, ex-world title contender Mag Ramo, and dominated him. Right, and this is a kid who's only had three fights, and your third fight was with a guy whose record was like 26-3. Japan pushes dudes fast, man. This kid, he's obviously being maneuvered quickly. They're talking, or True School actually was trying to compare what he's doing compared to Inui and how fast he's sort of jumping through sort of the established requirements to sort of build your name. And he's on pace to break both of Inui's records. So that would be great for him, obviously, specifically for the Japanese market. And then two good young Americans. Delonte Johnson ended up having a sensational third-round knockout today against a quality opponent. And Emiliano Vargas also, I think, had a third-round knockout in his fight today against a quality opponent as well. It's good to see Top Rank actually giving these guys some opportunities against, more established fighters, not just cherry-pick shit opponents. I wonder if Usyk can make Dubois quit again. If so, Drew Titan is going to say he was afraid of beating a white man in Saudi. Oh, what an idiot. Drew Titan jumped on the Dubois train. He says Usyk got knocked out in the first fight. No surprise. Usyk's the wrong color to support. There's nothing much for Usyk to prove anymore. Unfortunately, he can't finish his career with money fights unless it's a Jake Paul fight. Yeah, I'd pay to watch him knock out Jake Paul. He said the reason Dubois quit was because he was afraid of beating the white man in Poland. Yeah, I saw that. Didn't take John long to make the Golovkin video. Fuck, it didn't, eh? But that's no surprise. We knew if we wouldn't even have brought up Golovkin on my live, we both knew that John was going to bring Golovkin up regardless. Because, if Errol Spence is not a Hall of Famer, what about Gennady Golovkin? Is Gennady Golovkin a Hall of Famer? Well, John, you've been shitting on Golovkin, saying he's not a Hall of Famer for probably the last fucking 5 years. So don't get in your fucking feelings now, because literally you exposed yourself fucking years ago. Years ago. Vargas came across way too cocky. He was saying he makes more money than Keyshawn from endorsements. Tans, he came across as smug spoiled in that interview. That made me a hater instantly. Yeah, I'm not a big supporter of him individually. I thought the Three Brothers story, just kind of like Abdullah Mason's story as well, Keyshawn Davis brothers story, obviously his father being an ex-world champion. But it's no surprise he's a bit of an arrogant prick because his dad was fucking the same, right? People loved when his dad got fucking brutalized by De La Hoya and Tito Trinidad because he was such a fucking big mouth. And so his son's a chip off the old block. If John hears Gigi's name, he immediately starts convulsing. Fuck. For a guy that cries about everyone else being a hater and being racist, it's amazing that this guy's made fucking years of shitting on, not being rational, literally shitting on. He's literally got fucking Gennady Golovkin derangement syndrome, right? That's what he's got. But I hate all the black fighters. But no. listen to John and you fucking hear hate, disdain, right? A guy that says, "Oh, I hope these guys retire so I never have to hear about them again." Oh, once these guys retire, nobody's going to talk about them ever again. It's like, oh my God. Think about all the fighters in boxing who've retired and barely ever get fucking mentioned or discussed. Great fighters too, right? you know, and that says more about this modern boxing fan and how stupid and fucking ignorant they are, and the fact that they just don't know shit about the sport. Even NBA fans, right? Modern NBA fans who all fucking think LeBron James is the GOAT, right? This just shows you these guys fucking are ignorant. They just don't know the history of the sport, right? And with boxing, it's just as much of that. These guys are fucking just brain dead. I honestly hope Emiliano humbles down a little. Nothing wrong with being a confident kid, but he's overdoing it. Well, I mean, go back and look at interviews his father was making, especially when he was calling out fucking De La Hoya. He was a fucking prick. A prick. Great fighter, super exciting style, but he came across like a fucking arrogant prick. So, you know, to an extent, it's kind of good for fighters to do it because you have the people who love you, that support you, and then the people that fucking hate you, right? But then they still watch you because they want to see you get beat. So it's so good for your name, for your money, for your name recognition. Wow, Gennady derangement syndrome is exactly what he has. Fucking exactly. That guy speaks fucking Kazakhstani fucking at night in his dreams. Yeah, young Fernando was something else. Laugh out loud. The problem with Spence hasn't made a comeback. Some of these fighters either get a payday or get exposed. They don't try to make a comeback like so many great fighters before. Well, that's the problem. Fulton has a better resume than fucking Errol Spence. Fulton is closer to being a Hall of Famer than fucking Errol Spence. This isn't hate towards Errol Spence. It's just being rational. Fulton was also a unified champion. He also stepped up to face a pound for pound fighter for undisputed, or for what inevitably would have become undisputed, and got fucking knocked out too. But the difference is he moved up in weight, won a world title against an opponent that people feel he got a gift against the first time they fought, and he deserved to lose that fight. And now with a bigger weight class, people are leaning towards Figueroa because he was a naturally bigger fighter at a more comfortable weight. He did what other fighters have never done. Deontay Wilder never came back to win a title, right? Charlo at 154, he may never come back to re-win a title. Spence hasn't come back to win a fucking title, right? Broner never came back to win a title, right? These guys, they don't understand. If you want to be great, it's essential to come back. The comeback is everything. It's okay to lose, right? And that's what dumbass motherfuckers like John and the LDBC dudes don't understand. It's okay to lose, but you got to come back. I think Spence is a Hall of Famer when you consider who has been put in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, but if you don't look at that, if you just look at what he's done and don't look at the people who don't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, that's a different story. But yes, with some of the people who've gotten the Hall of Fame, then it's like almost everybody's in the Hall of Fame. The irony is, John is an example. He says that Lomachenko is not a Hall of Famer. Gennady Golovkin's not a Hall of Famer. Kovalev is not a Hall of Famer. Roman Gonzalez is not a Hall of Famer. He fucking would easily state that all four, maybe even fucking Inouye, all five of those fighters are not fucking future Hall of Famers. Estrada, right? He would say that without batting a fucking eye. But then you say Spence, a black fighter, is not a Hall of Famer, and he's not done anything compared to the fighters I said. Kovalev, even though he lost that fight to Ward, everyone knew he won that fight, and that was a far more significant fight than anything Errol Spence has done. Errol Spence literally got knocked out in his most significant fight. Kovalev got robbed in his most significant fight. Lomachenko got robbed in his most significant fight. Gennady Golovkin got robbed in his most significant fight. Errol Spence got fucking beat the fuck up. Right? Beat the fuck up. And you can't compare him to Roman Gonzalez. Roman Gonzalez's fucking career is miles better than Errol Spence. It ain't even fucking comparable. John Boxing. Yes, John is mental. Kambosos' unified difference between him and Spence. He has beat a current pound for pound fighter in Teo and become a Ring Magazine champion. Yeah, like compare those two, right? The difference is after Kambosos got beat by Devin Haney, he rematched Devin Haney, and then he came back against Lomachenko, and now he's going to come back against Hitchens for another weight division world title, right? He's tried to come back. He wasn't successful. He lost. But you think about the fighters he fought after getting beat and losing his title. And his best win, Teofimo Lopez, is literally a better win than anything on Errol Spence's resume. Clearly. And that's only one win. But come on. You know, he tried to come back. And if he was to beat Hitchens and become a two-weight champion, clearly fucking Kambosos would deserve to be over Errol Spence on the Hall of Fame list. Neither would Spence. GGG wouldn't though. Wouldn't what? What? If it was up to me, Loma would make the Hall of Fame. GG wouldn't though. Neither would Spence. I would have loved to see Errol pull a Brook and gone up to 160 to challenge Prime GGG. Well, he wanted to go up and face up Prime Canelo at 160, 168. IBHOF needs to have criteria for fighters getting into the Hall of Fame. It's not the popularity. Hall of Fame is what you have done legacy-wise. I agree. By not having a standardized sort of thing, you just fucking water down the whole situation. And you can look at fighters that aren't in the Hall of Fame. Who's the one guy? He was a 168-pound champion, ended up having like 12 title defenses, but yet he's not in the Hall of Fame, right? Because of who he fought. And I think he was just a one belt holder. Is John, the Indonesian fighter, in the Hall of Fame? Because John had how many title defenses? Like a lot. But he also had a legitimate win against a future Hall of Famer in Juan Manuel Marquez, right? So, but I don't think he's in the Hall of Fame. You know, Kambosos is a modern day Buster Douglas in many ways. One big win and could never do anything again. Yeah, but unlike Buster Douglas, at least he's tried and tried again. Buster Douglas fucking got flatlined by Evander Holyfield, and after that became a fucking footnote. John not in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, see? I mean, I would say John's fucking career is better than Errol Spence. Yes, he didn't unify titles, but his win against Juan Manuel Marquez, what win does Errol Spence have on his resume that's as good as that? None. It ain't even fucking close. And he's got like double-digit title defenses, right? You compare him to Deontay Wilder, who has double-digit title defenses, yet his best win is a guy who was never a world champion and 50-year-old Cuban, as opposed to Marquez, that was a multi-weight division who beat multiple fucking future Hall of Famers. Yeah. You know, to be fair, I don't put so much emphasis on Hall of Fame because it's become very subjective. Even all-time greats become subjective. I mean, if you're still talking about a fighter 20 years later, to me, they're an all-time great. Even if they don't have the accolades, the fact that they're still in your mind, that you're still talking about them that many years later, because a lot of fighters are all-time greats and Hall of Famers, and people will never fucking talk about them ever again. They've disappeared in history. What's that movie with the gods? And you know, gods are starting to disappear because people no longer think about them, no longer pray to them. So these gods are all like fading into obscurity, right? And all they want is people to acknowledge them so they still stay relevant and obviously don't disappear completely. That's like so many sports people out there disappear and will never be heard of again because they didn't have trilogies, opponents, whether you won or lost, it don't matter. John acts as if Golovkin not beating Canelo in 3 fights makes him obsolete and obscure. But actually, no, because Canelo is going to be an all time great who, whenever a top young Mexican fighter is mentioned, Canelo Alvarez is going to be brought up, which inevitably means Golovkin is going to be brought up as well. Right. So Golovkin's name is never going to disappear from boxing because of his connection to Canelo Alvarez. So I think IBFP said that you called him a Benavidez fanboy. Is that true? No, I didn't say he was a Benavidez fanboy. What I said is his energy, right, towards the Canelo Alvarez Benavidez situation and the Benavidez Bivol situation is different. And I said people can construe it in a negative way, justifying their stance that they call him a Canelo Alvarez fanboy channel, right? And that's what happens when you aren't consistent. When you use all these kind of negativity to try to downplay Benavidez trying to get a Canelo Alvarez fight, talking about, not signing the paperwork, fucking contradiction within his team, all these fucking things, limited resume, all this kind of stuff. But then with Bivol, you think it's justified that the WBC is going to strip Bivol and not allow him to have a historical trilogy fight with Beterbiev so that Benavidez can now get a fight he wanted against Canelo at 168. Like, it's just a bad look. I never said he was a Benavidez fanboy. No, impossible. Never said that. I don't think so necessary, but you did keep on saying that Benavidez has earned a shot at 175 and is chasing greatness. Yeah, yeah. As if he didn't earn a shot at 168 and wasn't chasing greatness against Canelo, right? As if he didn't just say that he was going to move up to cruiserweight to chase after Zerto. As he didn't just go to fucking Saudi Arabia, invited by fucking Turki Al-Sheikh, who guaranteed him a fight against the winner, for him to leave before the fucking fight happened so they couldn't get him in the ring to build up the potential match between them, right? He's done so many things that suggest that he's not fucking really interested in a Bivol fight. So for IBFP to come out and now spin it pro Benavidez after years of spinning it opposite Benavidez to defend Canelo, I said it's a bad look. The people that call him a Canelo fanboy can use this now to just fucking show that, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what he's done. He's basically contradicting himself in his takes because Canelo is not involved. The irony is, Bivol and Canelo in a rematch was also a possibility. And now you're kind of fucking even shooting that in the foot. But where are we? Hall of Fame should be reserved to be the best of the best, i.e. Crawford, Loma, Canelo, Inoue, Usyk, and throw in Loma and Bivol. But it shouldn't just be free pass for anyone who has done something in the past. I agree. GG not in the Hall of Fame because he didn't beat no one. Okay, Vitaly and Vlad shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame, but Buster Douglas should be because he beat Tyson. Exactly. Yeah, that's why you can't base it specifically just on one criteria. There has to be different criteria based on different fighters. GGG was defending the same title Bernard Hopkins defended, and he defended it more times than B-Hop did. You can say, it's the regular title. Yeah, but it's the exact same title B-Hop was defending. It's not Golovkin's fault that because of the WBA trying to kiss fucking Floyd Mayweather's ass, they created a different title. So now Floyd Mayweather wouldn't have to do mandatories with WBA opponents, right? But okay. Canelo versus GG2, still one of the best fights in modern day boxing. Jake Paul is chasing greatness. He is. He wants to fight AJ, Canelo, Tank Davis. He don't care about weights. He's going to fight fucking Colosso at 105. He's going to fight everybody as long as it fucking does big numbers on Netflix. Yeah. I like IBFP, so I'm not hating on him. But if I need to be a fair channel, I need to point out inconsistencies when I see them. And that whole Bivol Benavides thing is a huge inconsistency as far as I can tell. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Am I wrong? I could be, because I'm not perfect, but I'm as near as perfect as you can be. So, some dumbass on social media left this fucking thing, so I just want to address it. It's like, what's wrong with people and their stupid fucking polls that make no fucking sense? Some people, what's wrong with them? Forget wins and losses. Who's fought better competition? And these are the four competitors: Floyd, Canelo, Oscar De La Hoya, Manny Pacquiao. As you can see here, a lot of people had Pacquiao 47%, Oscar 25%, Canelo 9%, Floyd Mayweather 19%. You know, the black American YouTubers who are all about pointing fingers and calling people racist are going to think this is a very racially motivated fucking thing. The fact that Floyd Mayweather is not number one and clearly should be number one, because he is what did Floyd call himself? The biggest douchebag? I can't remember, but you know, he's got some abbreviation that he likes to call himself. But when I saw this, and I saw that Pacquiao, and I love Pacquiao, was number one, I sort of scratched my head and thought, this is again recency bias, right? This is the problem with sports as a whole. If you think Pacquiao has the best resume out of everybody here, I just don't think you've been watching boxing fucking long enough to really be able to vote for anything. You know, it's like they say people shouldn't be able to vote because they're just too stupid to make good decisions. When we talk about Democrats and fucking, you know, Canadians, I think that's probably true, because Canadians fucking voted in fucking Trudeau for 3 fucking terms. So, I mean, you know, they should lose their fucking voting rights. And all people that comment on my Facebook that are from Canada and disagree with me, mocking you, then you just, once again, prove that you don't deserve to vote, because you're way too fucking emotionally caught up in shit. But when we look at this, let's ask the man that made the poll. Drunk Irishman, who do you think out of these 4 fighters has fought the best competition? Wins, losses, doesn't matter. Everyone, feel free to leave your comment in the comment section below, and let me mock and ridicule you if you don't pick the same person that I picked. Alvarez says, well, if Canelo beats Skull and Crawford, he will have beaten the most world champions after Pacquiao and Mayweather. Drunk Irishman says, Oscar. See, there's only one person I can actually have a fucking grown-up conversation with. It's fucking clearly fucking Oscar De La Hoya. And it doesn't matter the most world champions you fought, because nowadays you're going to have that record. That doesn't make Pacquiao, Canelo, or fucking Floyd better than the all-time greats just because they beat more world champions. In the 4-belt era, of course you're going to fucking beat more world champions. Back in the day when there was 1 champion or possibly 2, you know, so all those guys before, like Sugar Ray Robinson and any, you know, Hammer and Hank Armstrong, you should just multiply theirs by 4 and use that as their number. Or you should divide Floyd Mayweather and Canelo and Pacquiao's. So let's see if we were to do that. So what's Floyd's? 26? 27? I can't remember off the top of my head, but let's say 28, just to be fair. So 28 divided by 4. So Floyd beat 7 world champions. That's good. Very nice. Very successful career. 7. Congratulations. He's not the most in history. Oscar De La Hoya fought B-Hop, Floyd, Pac, Mosley, Chavez, and more that I just don't care to remember. Yeah, Oscar fucking clearly has the best resume out of opponents he fought. Clearly. Like, when he was the golden boy, dominating pound for pounds in the US, he was fighting 3, 4, 5 times a year, even though he was a huge moneymaker, right? And his resume is fucking way better than Floyd. You ever notice 2 wins that Floyd gets tons of credit for, nobody even mentions as good wins for Oscar De La Hoya? There was the first world title that Floyd won against the Mexican guy that beat, what's his face, Azuma Nelson. I never can remember his name. But before Floyd beat him and he retired because he was old and ready to retire, De La Hoya beat him years earlier. Before Floyd used Arturo Gatti to try to become a pay-per-view star, Oscar De La Hoya fought Arturo Gatti and made him a pay-per-view star. Gennaro Hernandez, there you go. Chag, what's up? Look at you, being like John Boxing, hanging in the back, just waiting to get content. Quality over quantity of champions. Yeah. Oscar fought fucking everybody. Literally everybody. Everybody. Right? Like, and I was never an Oscar De La Hoya fan. I still think Pernell Whitaker beat him, even though nobody agrees with me, but, you know, still my opinion. At work, hiding the phone. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, when I saw that poll, I was like, fucking Pacquiao winning by 47%. Like, people are fucking just ignorant, uneducated, or just misinformed. Because I love Pacquiao, and obviously he's got a great resume. I mean, everybody mentioned obviously has a great resume. When we talk about Canelo, we talk about how now he's kind of the throwback fighter to modern fighters, and obviously has the best resume out of everyone active today. When people talk about Danny Garcia, I'm like, fucking Danny Garcia. Are you fucking mental? Who did Danny Garcia fight? Matias was never a world champion. So let's not overrate that win. So he fought Amir Khan. And then who? Thurman, Porter, Spence. Lost to fucking all 3 of them. Beat Khan. And yeah, I don't even know if there's another name worth mentioning. But people act as if somehow his resume is great. I'm like, what are you talking about? Danny Garcia was an okay fighter. He ain't no fucking Hall of Famer. He ain't no all-time great. Let's just fucking keep it real. That's a guy who ducked a Bud Crawford fight at 140, ducked a Bud Crawford fight at 147. Yeah. I don't rate him at all. But let's see. Where's this? We might as well put it to a test. But Sean, he beat the great 50-year-old Eric Morales. Who beat? Oh yes. And had to fight him twice because the first time was contentious and then beat him much more clearly the second time around. Yeah. Fuck me. Come on, people. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And it's not hate. It's just like, let's stop fucking blowing smoke up people's ass. So here's Floyd, number 3, pound for pound on BoxRec all time. 50-0, 27 KOs. So we go back to his career. Obviously, the first fight that he fought that was significant was Gennaro Hernandez. Then he fought Freddie Rios, Juco, Gennaro, Vargas, Augustus, Corrales. Corrales is not an all-time great. Is Corrales a Hall of Famer? Because he shouldn't be a Hall of Famer. But let's say, okay, Corrales. And then you got fucking Castillo. All-time great? I don't think so. And then Corley, Brussels, Gaddy, Mitchell, Zabjuda, Baldemir, De La Hoya. So that's 5, we will say, great fighters. And then Ricky Hatton, he was UK great, but not really great. Marquez, Mosley, Cotto, Alvarez. So 10 big names, and then Pacquiao, 11. And as I say, 2 or 3 of those names. Corrales did get inducted. Based on what? Based on one good win against fucking a trainer and one good win against a guy that knocked him out. And what? He's on because he's fucking. Is Paul Williams in? Paul Williams is probably in too because they both fucking are in wheelchairs. Oscar did fight everyone, but Ali did as well. The difference is that Ali won the most significant fights. Oscar didn't. Well, to be fair, Ali missed 3 or 4 years of his career, so there's a lot of significant fights he didn't get. In the first half of his career, really the most significant fights was Liston. That's it. Maybe you could throw one more on there. And then his most significant fight in the second tier was Frazier. He got beat. And then Norton, he got beat. He beat Foreman. So he beat one-dimensional, flat-footed, slow people like Liston and Foreman, and then struggled with other fighters. Right? Don't get me wrong. I love Ali, but you're comparing heavyweights to non-heavyweights. So let's go to look at Oscar De La Hoya. What did Oscar do? So Oscar, are we going to say Jimmy Brendel, who he won his first title against, Jorge Paez, John Molina, Rafael Ruiz, Gennaro Hernandez. I won't say Jesse James Leah, but he was a champion. Julio Cesar Chavez, Miguel Angel Gonzalez, Pernell Whitaker, Hector Macho Camacho, Ike Corte, Obakar, Trinidad, Mosley, Vargas, Felix Sturm, B-Hop, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. It's like 18 to 10 or 11. Like, clearly he fought way better fucking people than Floyd did. And he took losses, right? Sure. Lost to Mosley, lost to B-Hop, lost to Floyd, lost to Pacquiao. Floyd was a split decision. Mosley a split decision. Got robbed because Mosley was also on PEDs. Lost to B-Hop, who was much bigger than him. Lost to Pacquiao because he was weight trained. But he was weight trained because of himself, not because of Pacquiao. Corrales got inducted 2 years ago with Ricky Hatton. Ali was the best heavyweight resume of all time after Lennox Lewis. Best heavyweight resume of all time. J.A., can you name 5 great fighters on Ali's resume? 5 is easy. But I just think some people love to say Ali this and Ali this, but they don't really even know that much about what he accomplished. Evander fought everybody. But once again, lost to James Toney, right? Lost him to some fights later on in his career where, kind of like Roy Jones. Not good looks when you look at the whole thing, right? Roy Jones was easily considered the fucking best fighter, better than De La Hoya, better than fucking Floyd, better than B-Hop, better than Tony, right? Better than all those guys. And then he just kept fighting for too long, and now people fucking don't give him the respect that he deserves. And he deserves a fucking shitload of respect. It's just a shame he didn't get to fight all those UK and European guys because he was too egocentric, but, it is what it is. Let's look at Pacquiao next. Manny. If you fought a guy once, I'm just going to say it once. I'm not going to fucking say it more than once. Norton, Frazier, Foreman, Holmes, Patterson, And he basically fought everybody that was around. You didn't even put Liston. So Pacquiao. So we move up. First big win, I think, really, Barrera, Marquez, Morales, Jorge Solis, David Diaz, De La Hoya, Hatton, Cotto, Margarito, Mosley, Bradley, Floyd, Keith Thurman. 10 big names he fought. Obviously, he fought guys multiple times. So if you add them all up, I mean, it's significant. But really, I think 10 big names. So about the same as Floyd, but obviously far less than Oscar De La Hoya. And who is the other name on the list? Oh, Canelo. Well, I don't think Canelo's up there with those guys. Don't think so, but let's check. Big known fighters that he faced. So Mosley obviously would be first. Trout, okay, undefeated unification fight. Floyd, Lara, Cotto, Amir Khan, Julio Cesar Senior Jr. I don't know about that. Golovkin, Jacobs, Kovalev, Smith, Billy Joe Saunders. I don't feel so good about it. Caleb Plant, 11. Bivol, 12. Charlo, 13. Munguia Berlanga. It's hard to put them there, but let's say 12 or 13. So easily Oscar De La Hoya. Easily. It's not even fucking close. Oscar De La Hoya fought way better competition over his career than all three of those other guys. The rest is pretty close. When you look at Canelo's resume, obviously a lot of the guys he fought are modern, so he doesn't necessarily get a lot of respect for them. But if they go on and have good careers, like Berlanga and Munguia and others, then obviously they become significant, right? But yeah, it is what it is. Drunk Irishman says, Canelo hasn't got the highlighted great names compared to the other three. Well, it's because it's so modern, right? Like even Golovkin and Kovalev, down the road, they're going to be far more significant than they are now. So then you got Mosley, Cotto, and Floyd, because they're the old level before. Yeah, so, again, it's that situation where people look at older fighters and who they fought and give them more respect. Like when people shit on Golovkin, like J.A. was shitting on Golovkin and doesn't think he's a Hall of Famer. But then you look at Pernell Whitaker. J.A. was Pernell Whitaker a Hall of Famer? Of course you'd say yes. But Pernell Whitaker fought some bum-ass opponents as a world champion. Worse than fucking Golovkin. Worse than Golovkin, right? But people highlight and criticize everybody nowadays far more than they do historical. You go through historical great fighters, they fought guys with losing records. They had stay busy fights, not world title fights against guys that were lucky to have 3 or 4 fucking wins with fucking double-digit losses, right? You can't do that today. If you do, like Roman Gonzalez fought a guy with double-digit losses, and then John fucking never stops talking about it, as if somehow that's the worst fucking thing that's ever happened in boxing. Because again, people are just stupid and they don't fucking remember the history of the sport. But let's look. Pernell. I love Pernell, but I use him because, it just shows people are just fanboys. Pernell Whitaker, Sweet Pea. There you are. 4 losses, 1 draw. Obviously, the draw does not it should not be there at all. Highlighted great names are overrated for the most part. So we go to his career. Dun, 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 dun. So first name was Jose Luis Ramirez. Greg Haugen, rest in peace, just passed away. See, I love Freddie Pendleton, but imagine somebody fighting a guy like Freddie Pendleton today with a record of 24-16-3. Can you imagine fucking Pacquiao, Golovkin, Lomachenko fighting a guy like Freddie Pendleton? The usual suspects would fucking lose it. But Freddie Pendleton was a fucking good fighter, man. Really good fighter. Azuma Nelson, so that's 3. Refused to rematch Azuma Nelson. Jorge Paez. Harold Brazier, again, another guy. Nobody could fight him. 78-10. Jerry Smith, 12-13. Rafael Pineda, 28-1, but was Rafael Pineda great? No. Buddy McGirt, 5. Chavez, 6. Julio Cesar Vasquez, 53-1. You guys tell me if you think I should put him up there. What's up, Tavern? De La Hoya, Trinidad. 8. 8 big names on Pernell Whitaker's resume, right? Some guys that had good resumes when he fought him, like Rivera, 23-0. What's his face? The Cuban guy, Hurtado, 20-0. Vasquez, 53-1. Cardona, 29-3. But Pineda, 28-1. 8's not bad. No, not bad. That's why he's a Hall of Famer, right? But my point is, people are quick to shit on people because they just don't know the historical reference behind fighters. Now, if you fought some of the guys that guys like Pernell and other guys fought, they would be fucking shit on, hated on. You fought a guy with a losing record. You fought a guy with double-digit losses. Yeah. But Freddie Pendleton was fucking great. Harold Brazier was one of my favorite fighters during that period of time. That guy was on TV almost every fucking month on Friday Night Fights. He was great. So I was always happy when he got big fights with Azuma Nelson, with Pernell Whitaker, big opportunities. Obviously, he didn't capitalize on them, but, he was competitive. He was feisty. This guy just fought. That's what he did to stay in shape. He just stayed busy by fighting as much as he could. And obviously back then, people didn't make such huge amounts of money, a lot of the contenders. So you had to fight a lot. I wonder where Harold Brazier is now. Is he still alive? I mean, Greg Haugen just died, so you never know. Let's check it out. I'm curious. Boxer Harold Brazier. Harold Brazier. 69 years old, still alive. Nice. Good job, Harold. Ended his career 105, 18-1. Only knocked out 2 times in 18 losses. 65 knockouts in 105 wins. Talking about fucking old school resume, man. That shit was old school. According to your logic, you can't forget about Roy Jones Jr. You shouldn't forget Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. was the quintessential fucking superstar during his period of time. The only thing that hurts him is that he fought for too long. So now the younger fight fans don't give him respect, ignore him, and don't put him on the same level as guys like Floyd Mayweather. When you're going to retire so you can go live every day, Top Dog Sean. To be fair, I'm probably never going to retire. Out of all the faces of boxing fighters after Muhammad Ali, Oscar lived up to that name more than Leonard, Tyson, Floyd, Canelo, Pacquiao. Yeah, Leonard was there. The problem with Leonard was injuries, right? And obviously he had super significant victories in his Marvin Hagler fight. Nobody expected him to win. That was an Muhammad Ali type of win, right? Oscar doesn't have his Muhammad Ali type of win. He lost those fights. If he would have went up to middleweight and beat Bernard Hopkins, we could say he has his Muhammad Ali kind of win, or beat like Pacquiao or Floyd. But my man did that. He got that win, right? He had his Muhammad Ali win by beating Hagler after 3 years of retirement, moving up to middleweight, and then boxing circles around him, sending fucking Hagler into retirement. But yeah. But Harold Brazier, let's look at how many great fighters he fought. Because a lot of times these contenders, right, man, they fought everybody. Everybody. Meldrick Taylor, early in his career, in 1986, he fought him. Lost a 10-round decision. Roger Mayweather. Lost a split decision. Juan Martin Kogi. Fucking, who knows him? Who remembers? I know Drunk Irishman does. Who else remembers him? Juan Martin Kogi. Coggi. At the time he fought him, it was 37-1-2. Kogi. Livingston Bramble. Rest in peace. That's two guys we just ran into today in conversation that just passed away. Mickey Ward. Beat Mickey Ward when Mickey Ward was 21-3. Buck Smith. I put Buck Smith up there for him. Buck Smith, 49-2-2. Pernell Whitaker. Vince Phillips fought Buck Smith again when Buck Smith was 114-2-2. Fought Buck Smith a third time when he was 124-2-2. Fucking Christ, man. Some dudes are doing it. Kevin Pompey. Yeah, or Reggie fucking Strickland. What's his record? 29-117-5. Or didn't end his career with any big names. So like 7, I know it's probably 5 big names. Shout out Buck Smith. Talk about fucking fighting a shitload. Jesus Christ. What was his overall record when he retired? 183-20-2. 121 KOs. That shit's fucking impressive, man. Super impressive. Alias Tombstone. He fought everyone. Antonio Margarito, Julio Cesar Chavez. Mark Breland. Buddy McGirt. So many names. Harold Brazier. Page 1. Page 2. It's amazing the mediocre, low-level fighters that were around, and some of them just fighting everybody still. Because he was fighting a lot of the same guys. It's really old school type of fucking boxing. Faced the same guy like 5 times. Kirkland Lang. He fought Kirkland Lang. What was Kirkland Lang's best win? Anyone that remembers, leave in the comments section. Buck Smith has about 50 no contest fights as well. It's real old school. Duran. Yep. Beat Roberto Duran. Fucking Kirkland Lang. And then became a fucking hobo street person. Been saying this for a year now. Norman destroys Boots' anus. Well, Boots obviously has a far more significant fight coming up next than anything my man Norman has done. The Stanionis fight. That will tell us a lot. If Boots dismantles Stanionis impressively, then I don't think fucking Norman stands a chance in hell. If it's a very close competitive fight, then okay. Maybe I can see leaning towards Norman. Norman is obviously faster hands and faster feet than Stanionis, and that may be significant against Boots, but we have to see. It may be, it may not be. Let's just make the fights, and then we'll end up finding out who is great or who isn't great. You're sort of on the same page as John Boxing. I think he also would favor Norman to beat Boots. Because remember, fucking back in the day, he was so anti-Boots. Just like recently, he was so anti-Keyshawn. Yet he just made a video fucking praising Keyshawn to shit on fucking Virgil Ortiz. Norman's never going to fight him. 154 for Boots after Stanionis. If he can get a unification fight with Norman, I think he'll take that fight, because then he still doesn't have to make the IBF next day weigh-in type of stuff. But otherwise, yeah, I agree. He's probably going to go 154, bigger money. But then don't forget, there's also the Teofimo Lopez fight they were talking about doing at 147. You don't want to walk away from that either, because that's big money, big name recognition for a much smaller opponent. You can get inside on Boots pretty easy. One could say that Leonard Hagler fight was similar to Canelo versus GG1 in some ways. Hagler was the aggressor, but couldn't finish him. Do you watch ski jumping? Not regularly, but when the Winter Olympics rolls around and it pops on my TV, because you know how the Olympics is, you end up being forced to watch events you wouldn't normally watch, which is good. I think that's the good thing about Winter and Summer Olympics historically, is you watch it on like CBS, NBC, ABC, and so you have to watch a big selection of different sports. So it gives you a bit of respect for different sports like ski jumping, bobsledding, fucking, figure skating, fucking, what's the Canadian sport? It's a Canadian sport, but I can't remember the name. Boots Ennis looks like a natural middleweight. That he does. That's true. He's a big boy, long reach. Looks like he could easily put weight on to be at 154, 160. I bet Boots rehydrates to 172, almost as much as Devin Haney. See better BF. Ramadan just finished and his head is shaved bald. I don't know if he does that every year for Ramadan, but similar to what GG rehydrates to back when he was on HBO. Is that what GG rehydrated to? 172? I never worry too much about rehydration as long as you make the weight. It is what it is. But, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to call it a day. We've been on about an hour and a half, and it's my Sunday, which means tomorrow I got to wake up and go to work. So I think I'm going to kick back, watch some TV, maybe have a cerveza, and enjoy my Sunday night before the work week. But congratulations to me. Next week is a short work week, only 3 days, because it's tomb sweeping holiday on the weekend. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Tomb sweeping. So in Taiwan, it's a holiday where everybody has a day off where they can go to the graveyards, cut the grass, pray and do their bye-bye for their dead ancestors. So it's called tomb sweeping, as in tomb. People are in a tomb. So I have a 4-day holiday this upcoming weekend because of Tomb Sweeping holiday. So maybe I'll do a boxing video next week talking about all the dead fighters from the past that I really liked growing up. In spirit of the dead. Shout out to Bob Arum, 59 years today as a promoter. Damn, let's hope Bob gets to 60. Let's hope. Here's hoping. So Bob's been a promoter fucking longer than I've been alive. Shout out to Bob. I'd like to sit down and smoke a joint with Bob and talk about boxing. Can you imagine? Wouldn't that be fucking cool as fuck? Sit down with Bob Arum in an environment where he's comfortable, smoke a big fat one with him and just fucking get him to reminisce about the old days, dealing with fucking Ali, the fucking Muslims and fucking everything else. Man, that'd be some crazy shit. Ali Chuvalo, his first fight. Was that the fight in Toronto? Because if that was the fight in Toronto, my father was at the gym watching Ali spar, preparing for that fight, and went to that fight as well. Yeah, that's why. My dad, what did my dad leave me when he passed away? There you go. Ali, the story of a boxing legend. Forward by, rest in peace, George Foreman. Oh, Ali, what a man. A legend. A legend. Oh, yeah, okay. I remember when I was at the chiropractor in Toronto near High Park, wanting to be able to jump. So I was at the chiropractor getting my knees stronger. And who walks in? George fucking Chuvalo with Razor Ruddock. And of course, I know George Chuvalo. I'm like, fucking, who's that big motherfucker with him? He must be a boxer. He's with Chuvalo. But the dude looked like fucking, he's a monster. Monster. Fucking Razor Ruddock. If I would have known, I would have got Razor Ruddock's autograph. But I was never the kind of person to do autographs and shit like that anyway. So I probably wouldn't have. But, you know, it's a good story. Razor Ruddock with the big left hand. But cheers, everybody. Have a good Sunday, Saturday, whatever time it is for you. And I will be doing plenty of videos next weekend, since obviously I have a 4-day weekend. So peace out. Enjoy yourself. Later.